For 101 years, the Winnipeg Youth Orchestras have been educating and inspiring music students to achieve musical greatness, while at the same time allowing students to have a lot of fun playing music with others. This Monday, December 2nd, at the Desautels Concert Hall at 7 p.m., all three orchestras that make up the Winnipeg Youth Orchestra program will be performing in a concert that they are calling Fall Fantasia. Featuring the Youth Strings, the Youth Concert Orchestra, and the Youth Symphony Orchestra, this concert is sure to be just fantastic and a great way to hear and enjoy the next generation of orchestral musicians. And joining me here over Zoom to talk about the Youth Orchestra's Fall Fantasia concert, I am joined by conductor Andrea Bell, who is the conductor of the Youth Symphony Orchestra. Hey, Andrea, great to see you again.
Hi, Chris. Nice to see you. Thanks for having me.
Mhm. Before we get to the concert, can you start out by talking about the three orchestras that are in the youth orchestra program? Can you talk about, for example, the ages typically and the level of experience that the musicians need?
Yes, so the Winnipeg Youth Orchestras is three orchestras. So there's the youth strings, and so those are the younger people up to sort of younger people up to maybe junior high, and then there's the Youth Concert Orchestra, which sort of has junior high to high school level, and it kind of depends on age and ability too. And it's an auditioned. All three orchestras are auditioned, and
Mm-hmm.
then the orchestra that I'm conducting is the senior orchestra, which is the Youth Symphony Orchestra. And so I have students in there, high school up to university level.
Hmm. So if you take an audition for the youth orchestra programs, are you sort of auditioning for both? Like if you're a wind player, for example, are you auditioning for the concert orchestra and the youth orchestra in one audition, and you're sort of decided where you go from there? Is that how that works?
Well, yeah, certainly. We don't have like one big audition for all the orchestras, but you can apply for each of the orchestras. So
Mhm.
if you're somebody that you're not sure, like maybe you're kind of level wise, you think you could go either way to intermediate or senior, especially if you're a wind or a brass percussion player, it might be harder for you to know exactly where you fit in. So we just suggest audition for both, no big deal. And
Mhm.
that happens with a lot of even the string players too, where you're kind of like there's on the website, it lists the levels that the kids are supposed to be at. So if you're
Mhm.
kind of right on that cusp, you might want to audition for both.
Mhm. Mhm. Uh, you were a member of the youth orchestras growing up as a young cellist. What was the most rewarding thing for you about being a musician in the orchestra? And did you take part in all three orchestras or just the youth symphony orchestra?
I did take part in all three. So I had a cello handed to me in grade 7, and I just fell in love with it. And so I just went crazy and joined youth orchestra. My orchestra teacher was one of the youth orchestra conductors. And so they were just like, you have to join, you'll love this. And I remember my first day, I always tell my students this the first day, I was so overwhelmed and not prepared and a very beginner that I just went home, cried, and then started practicing. And
Yeah.
the next week was better. The next week was better. But yeah, so I did go through all three youth orchestras. And then basically, yeah, it took a few years off to go to university and then became one of the conductors. So it really has been a huge part of my life. It's just, I have friendships from those orchestra days that have lasted into my old age. And it's just fantastic.
Fantastic. This year's concert is at a new venue, the newly opened Desautels Concert Hall out at the University of Manitoba. Have you seen the space, and what are you looking forward to most about performing
I
there?
haven't seen it yet. I'm so excited. I feel like I am just so I have my students in orchestra telling me, "Oh, you're going to freak out. It's so beautiful." So I'm just so excited because of course I went to U of M for my undergrad, and there was always talk of a beautiful new concert hall, and so this is just so thrilling. I'm just so excited we can be there.
Mhm, absolutely. Um, we had Keith Durda here on the air just after it was announced that he was going to rejoin the lineup of the Canadian Brass. Is he still going to be the conductor of the Youth Concert Orchestra? And also, who is the conductor of the Youth Strings? Can you talk about the other two conductors for a bit?
Right. So, well, Keith, yeah, it's so exciting. He's in Canadian Brass again. That's just beyond thrilling, but also sad that we lost him as a conductor. But his replacement is pretty darn awesome. It's Michelle Moore. So, of course, she's
Ah,
a fantastic conductor. So we're
great.
so lucky to have her. And yeah, so we're thrilled. So the orchestra is going great.
The level of string playing here in Winnipeg is outstanding, as is the level of wind playing. We have some just fantastic teachers here in the province. Are you ever worried that the musicians won't be up to the task, or is it one of the things that you like most about youth orchestra, sort of pushing their limits and pushing them to work and push themselves?
Yeah, for sure. You know what, as a teacher, my primary goal is to always have the students be challenged but not overwhelmed. So
Mm,
picking repertoire and um, is always that kind of that fine line of like, this is, are they going to like this? Is it going to be challenging? Is it going to be too much? For example, like the Sibelius 2 we're doing right now, it's challenging. It is
yeah.
surprisingly challenging for the students, but what like it's really pushed them and they have really succeeded. It's going to be fantastic. Now with
Mm,
that symphony, we're just doing the first movement for
mm,
this concert, and then usually I like doing a full symphony, but we'll break up the symphony
yeah.
over the three concerts of the year, which is kind of a nice way to give the students a little bit more time to work on stuff.
So the full program consists of the overture to Mozart's Magic Flute, the first movement of Sibelius 2, as you were just saying, and Mussorgsky's Night on Bald Mountain. When did you start thinking about the music for this concert, and what made you want to pick these pieces for the orchestra to perform?
Yeah, so as soon as I have, like, we do auditions in the spring, and as soon as I have that roster of musicians set, that's when my brain starts working away at, okay, here's my wish list, and would it work with these folks? It's that kind of thing too. Because there are
Mm,
some years, where you just maybe you don't have certain instruments or
yeah.
whatever. Like right now, still I would love to have a tuba player, but it's just not happening. It's things like that, and a string bass. I don't have any string basses right now, so there's some weird
Mm.
things like that where we have to do some little adjusting. So obviously we're not going to be fully set like Winnipeg Symphony, but gosh, the kids are really doing a great job.
hmm I was looking at the program and I was thinking the three pieces really showcase the different sections of the orchestra. For example, the night on Bald Mountain that you're going to be doing has some pretty beefy brass writing. Is that one of the things you love about the piece? And do you ever worry about the balance between the brass just getting too overzealous and the strings in rehearsal?
Yeah, that's true. Well, that piece, like to me, my wish list of pieces always has, some of my personal youth orchestra experience favorites, and Night on Bald Mountain was one of those ones I've wanted to do. And I just have a fantastic brass section this year. So that one I thought would be very fun. And the kids love it. It's just
Right.
it's one of those pieces, even if you're not a musician, you listen to it and you go, that sounds familiar. Was that in like
Mhm.
something, Fantasia or something? But yeah, so we're having a great time with that. And it really is, I haven't had the brass. I don't give them the hand too much. I don't.
Yeah. Wow. That's nice.
Yeah, no, they sound great.
Uh, you mentioned it earlier. You're gonna be doing the first movement to Sibelius' Second
Mhm.
Symphony. When I think of Sibelius 2 as a woodwind player myself, I think of the woodwind writing. It's magnificent for all the woodwinds and horns as well. It's such a great depiction of a Nordic landscape. You mentioned it earlier. It is challenging. Can you talk about some of the things that you had to deal with in rehearsals from an ensemble standpoint?
Yeah, it's funny how just even the time signature and the counting is tricky for the students. Like big chunks of it in 6/4, and a lot of
Mhm.
students haven't even seen that before, and so things like that you just kind of as a teacher I kind of go, oh yeah, why are you guys finding this difficult? But it's coming along nicely, and the winds. Oh boy, I have fantastic wind players this year, and they really are doing a fantastic job. So it's such a great piece because yeah, the as you said, the wind writing is so amazing, and the string writing is great, but
Mhm.
it's not insanely hard, but it's just tricky enough, So
Yeah.
yeah, we're
I
having a
think
lot.
I think of it as sort of the warm blanket to that Nordic landscape that is created by the woodwinds. Yeah, it's just a fantastic symphony.
Yeah, it's just it's one of my favorites. Just love it. I love that spin.
hmm hmm And then the third piece on the program for the youth orchestra is the Overture to the Magic Flute, which has some virtuosic string writing. And one of the things I'm always amazed at with strings, especially when playing Mozart and Haydn, is the precision. And this overture, it's an exercise in string precision. As a cellist yourself, how do you get that to happen? The strings to match up, like for example, the violins to match up with the cellos on the other side of the orchestra.
Yeah, it's true. I think I've been reminding all the students that they need to practice with a metronome
Mm.
a lot.
Yeah.
A friendly reminder. Because you know what? Mozart is one of those things, like as us musicians know, Mozart needs to sound simple and clean and clear and all these things. You know, you can't get sort of away with, you know, some of the bigger, more bombastic kinds of pieces. You can kind of get away with maybe articulation and some other things, but in the Mozart, it just needs to sound so clean and so precise,
Yeah.
simple. So that's a good challenge for the string players for sure. Yeah, because
Mm.
it needs to sound easy, and it's weirdly not.
Yeah. I'm sure the concert on Monday is going to be just fantastic. What are you looking forward to most about conducting these young musicians?
Oh, that that's a tricky question because I just love it. I Everything about youth orchestra makes me so happy, and it's just you know, everybody wants to be there, and everybody is working as hard as they can, and it's just the ultimate team sport. Like to me, it
Mm.
really is. Like, you know, you're using all parts of your brain and your body and everything. It's such a cool way for everybody to come together and work together. I think it's important for young people to be able to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Andrea, this has been so great. All the best on Monday. And thanks for taking the time to talk to me today. It's been wonderful.
Thank you so much for having me.
Mm. For our Classic 107 listeners, the Fall Fantasia concert with the Winnipeg Youth Orchestra takes place this Monday, December 2nd at 7 p.m. at the Desautels Concert Hall out at the University of Manitoba. For more details, visit winnipegyouthorchestras.ca or go to classic107.com. I've embedded a direct link to the concert page in the article that is up there now. Andrea, thanks again.
Thank you so much.